In a world oversaturated with slick chefs, influencer-driven cooking shows, and ultra-modern kitchen theatrics, Nonnas arrives like a warm plate of hand-rolled gnocchi, humble, heartfelt, and deeply nourishing. Directed with sincerity and humor, this 2025 comedy film leans into the comforting power of tradition, family, and food. It doesn't reinvent the comedy genre, but it doesn't have to. Nonnas charms by embracing its simplicity, letting seasoned performances and a wholesome concept carry the weight. The film centers around Joe, a gruff, blue-collar mechanic who knows engines inside out, but is a total stranger to the delicate, chaotic world of professional kitchens. He isn't trained in French sauces, he doesn't dream of Michelin stars, and he certainly doesn't know how to impress food critics. But when life throws him into the culinary deep end, he does what any rational person wouldn't. He hires a group of Italian grandmothers, the titular Nonnas, to run the kitchen. What unfolds is a funny, flavorful, and occasionally emotional journey of self-discovery, culinary chaos, and unexpected connections. Characters and casting asterisk. At the heart of Nonnas is Joe, a man who's all grit and grease. Your classic New Jersey mechanic type with oil-stained hands and a wary view of fine dining. Joe is played with surprising depth by a rugged, likable lead actor who brings charm without excess polish. Joe is not the kind of guy you'd expect to own a restaurant, let alone find joy in ravioli fillings and tiramisu layers. And yet the film carefully peels back his gruff exterior to show a man open to growth and community. The Nonnas are the real stars of the film. Each grandmother is distinct, full of personality, and more than willing to speak her mind. One is stern and precise. Another sings to the pasta as it boils. A third refuses to wear gloves because the sauce doesn't like latex. These women are not caricatures. They are lovingly portrayed as wise, stubborn, and brimming with stories. Their accents, mannerisms, and age-old rituals enrich the film with authenticity and warmth. It's refreshing to see older women take center stage in a comedy, not as comic relief but as respected forces of wisdom, flavor, and fierce love. Supporting characters include Joe's skeptical business partner, a snarky food critic who looms like a vulture, and a love interest who happens to be a local food blogger trying to write her way out of a rut. Each adds texture to the story, but never overshadows the main attraction: the evolving relationship between Joe and the Nonnas. Plot overview asterisk. Joe inherits a struggling Italian restaurant from an estranged uncle. He initially plans to sell it, but a series of events, including a persistent local historian, a failing economy, and a haunting recipe book, convinces him to try running it himself. It's a fish-out-of-water scenario done with just enough freshness to make it engaging. The restaurant's original chefs have all left, and Joe, desperate, stumbles upon an idea after a chance encounter at a church fundraiser. Italian grandmothers cook better than any chef he could afford. He starts recruiting them not from culinary schools but from neighborhoods, nursing homes, and Sunday potlucks. Each Nonna brings her own recipe, rhythm, and rules. They bicker in the kitchen. One insists basil must be torn by hand. Another demands that sauce must rest for exactly 6 hours. Joe tries to implement systems, spreadsheets, timers, supply chains, but the Nonnas ignore him. For them, cooking is intuition, memory, and love. The tension between tradition and modernity becomes the film's comedic and emotional engine. Gradually, the restaurant gains a cult following. Customers begin lining up for handmade pastas and stories about back in Sicily. Joe learns how to navigate the chaos, the media buzz, and the emotional landscape of family, grief, and legacy. There are setbacks: a burnt dish, a critical review, a plumbing disaster, but also moments of real triumph. By the final act, Joe's restaurant isn't just a business. It's a cultural haven. And when the food critic returns for one last review, he finds something no star rating can measure: soul. Themes and tone asterisk. Nonnas is warm, funny, and comforting, much like the food it celebrates. The tone leans toward feel-good comedy, with a touch of sentimentality and an undercurrent of bittersweet reflection. The film is less about food and more about the people who make it, and the memories they pour into each dish. It explores how recipes are acts of remembrance, how meals bind families, and how food is a kind of love language. There's also a strong undercurrent of generational contrast between Joe's rushed, utilitarian approach and the Nonnas' slow, soulful one. But the film doesn't turn this into a tired battle. Instead, it celebrates the harmony that arises when old and new meet halfway. Humor asterisk. The humor is gentle and observational rather than slapstick or absurd. There are scenes of kitchen chaos, flour explosions, a misunderstanding involving truffle oil, a Nonna chasing a rat with a rolling pin, but these are never overdone. Most of the laughs come from the cultural clashes, the sharp-tongued Nonnas, and Joe's growing exasperation. Their blunt honesty, their refusal to measure anything, their tendency to use profanity in Italian. It's all endearing. One memorable scene involves a cooking class where a Nonna throws out every student's sauce because it's too shy. Another features Joe accidentally booking a bachelorette party that turns into a flour fight and ends with homemade cannoli. It's the kind of comedy that makes you smile rather than howl with laughter, which fits the film's soft and savory tone. Visuals and cinematography asterisk. The cinematography is warm and inviting. Soft lighting, close-ups of food being prepared, steam rising from pots, hands kneading dough. It's clear the film is shot with love. The colors are rich, warm reds, deep yellows, rustic wood tones. Every dish looks mouth-watering, and the kitchen itself becomes a character. A space of controlled chaos, history, and transformation. There are no flashy camera tricks or overproduced shots. Instead, the focus remains on the human and tactile elements. When a Nonna rolls pasta or explains her secret to the perfect sauce, the camera lingers just long enough for the audience to feel the care behind each gesture. Dialogue and writing asterisk. The script is sharp, emotional, and peppered with Italian phrases that add authenticity. Each character has a clear voice. Joe speaks in gruff pragmatism, the Nonnas in lyrical anecdotes. One might say, "This bread is like life, good when warm, hard when cold." It's not just colorful dialogue. It's meaningful. Conversations feel organic and unforced. Even when exposition is delivered, like the backstory of Joe's family or a Nonna's journey from Naples. It's done through natural, character-driven exchanges. The film knows when to be quiet, too. Some of the most touching scenes are silent. Joe watching the Nonnas dance to an old record, a young customer crying over a taste that reminds her of home. Emotional core asterisk. What makes Nonnas stand out isn't just the laughs. It's the heart. Beneath the comedy is a story about loss and legacy. Joe isn't just fixing a restaurant. He's trying to rebuild a connection to his past. The Nonnas, too, are not just cooking. They're sharing their history, their grief, their joy. A subplot involving one Nonna's failing memory hits especially hard. When she forgets her own recipe, the other Nonnas gather to help her remember. Not just the ingredients, but the story behind it. It's a powerful reminder that food is memory, and memory is identity. By the end, Nonnas isn't just about saving a restaurant. It's about saving what matters, tradition, connection, and the warmth of something handmade. Music and sound asterisk. The score blends classic Italian melodies with soft acoustic guitar and piano. It's unobtrusive but evocative, rising during emotional moments and dancing lightly during the comedic ones. Italian folk songs occasionally drift in, especially during cooking montages or celebratory scenes. Sound design is subtle but satisfying. The sizzle of garlic in a pan, the rhythmic chopping of herbs, the bubbling of sauces. They ground the film in a sensory reality that pulls you in. Pacing and structure asterisk. At 1 hour and 54 minutes, the film is well-paced. It starts with a strong hook, develops its characters at a natural rhythm, and avoids dragging. The second act sags slightly. There's a subplot about a food competition that feels unnecessary, but it picks up quickly with a heartfelt twist. The climax doesn't involve a dramatic cook-off or a TV appearance. Instead, it's a quiet dinner service that brings everything together. Past, present, grief, laughter. It's understated, but it works. Conclusion asterisk. Nonnas is a gentle, joyous film that serves comfort food for the soul. It doesn't aim for high drama or groundbreaking themes, but it doesn't need to. Its power lies in its simplicity, its authenticity, and its deep respect for tradition. It's a film that celebrates aging, heritage, and the beauty of things done the old way. Joe's journey from skeptical outsider to beloved community figure is believable and rewarding. The Nonnas are unforgettable, funny, wise, and utterly human. By the time the credits roll, you'll feel like you've spent 2 hours in their kitchen, laughing, crying, and maybe even learning how to make a proper tomato sauce. Final thoughts asterisk. In a cinematic landscape often dominated by speed, gloss, and irony, Nonnas is a refreshing reminder that stories about love, food, and found family still matter. It's the kind of film you want to watch with your own nonna, or at least with a plate of pasta in your lap. Whether you're a food lover, a fan of slow-burn comedies, or someone who just misses their grandmother's cooking, Nonnas is a delightful treat worth savoring. It may not win awards, but it will win hearts, and perhaps inspire someone to call their grandmother and ask for that old lasagna recipe.